guys, it's Becky. I'm back with another process video. Today I'm going to be using the Pink Fresh Studios Escape the Ordinary collection for my layout. I am using that sketch right there by Creative Scrappers. It's number 161, I believe. I will show it again at the end. So as you saw, it's a grid style, which is really funny because my last layout was a loose grid, but this is a really tight actual grid. I was going to cut out some 2x2 squares, and then I wanted to have these floral centered in the grid, and I'm like, Becky, you have a die that will do that. So I go ahead and pull out the die. It's this one right here. I got it from Tuesday Morning for $3.99. It's just a bunch of small squares, very small squares, and I use the largest one to cut out 9 squares from these pattern papers. I will go back in later and cut out a few different ones because the colors I cut out weren't just right. As you can see right here, I do use a little bit of washi tape to hold the die down exactly where I want it because I did not want it to shift. Like I said, I did want those flower pieces to be exactly in the middle. I am going to cut out the rest of me doing this die cutting right here. I cut out one with a peach flower, a green flower, and a blue flower. Here I'm cutting off this, or trimming down this basil cardstock, and I'm going to use this one photo and then do the 9 grid over to this side like that. I'm going to try and arrange it to where none of the colors really sit super close together, or maybe some of them, like that blue flower with the blue block, that's fine, but how that diagonal with the green and the green, that's not super fabulous. It's okay though, because I will go back and take care of that in a different way here pretty soon. You can see I have this little piece right here. This is a cut from one of the cut off part papers. It says "Your heart knows the way" on it, and it has those 3 flowers. So the reason I pulled it out was for those 3 flowers to tie in all the other flowers. Here I'm spelling out Hypocrite with the gold dipped alphas that came out with this Pink Fresh collection. What I'm talking about here, you see that photo is of a horse, and when we were in Seville, we stayed right across the street from the cathedral, and that's a really hot tourist spot, so there was always these horse-drawn carriages outside there. And there was this one horse, and he couldn't even stand on his leg. He kept holding his leg up, and I was out by myself. I went back inside, Jim was in, and I was telling him how, you know, that's so horrible for these poor horses and blah blah blah. I felt so bad for this horse they couldn't stand. Well, we went to the Plaza de España, and it was super gorgeous, FYI. But we went ahead and we were going to take a taxi home, and Jim's like, "Do you want to take a carriage ride instead?" And even though I was talking about how these poor horses the day before, I was like, yeah. So my title's Hypocrite because I am such a hypocrite, because I felt so bad for these horses, yet I did get on one of them carriages and ride around Seville in one, and it was fabulous, and I'm not gonna lie, it was really great. So I am gonna trim down this piece of paper right here. I'm gonna leave a 1/4 inch on each side, so it's 11.5 by 11.5, and I am gonna back it on that gray piece I pulled out earlier that has those graphic triangles on it right there. I do cut the triangle portion out of the center. I'm not sure that I would ever really use that paper, but it's a really great inspiration piece, right? I look at this paper and I can just think of so many different ways to use this visually, not necessarily out of that paper, but maybe cutting up some other paper for it. So that is going to go right there. The white's my base, the gray is going to be the border around it. So I did ink all the edges, or will, I don't know if I did that yet, ink all the edges with that Ranger archival ink and watering can. I do believe I already showed you that when I was talking about my photo. Here I'm going to go ahead and move everything down because I want it to actually be a grid shape, and as you can see right there, the photo is poking up above those other 2-inch squares. Here I am laying them out with my T-square ruler. I think I'm using liquid glue to put those down. Sorry about that. If you can hear that, I tried to cut it out. 'Tis the season, right? Fall allergies. I don't have spring allergies. I have fall allergies. Fall is my favorite time of the year, but man, it really gets my allergies going. It's the only time of the year, really. All right, so I fussy cut out some of those little flowers off of that same paper that I used for those squares. I cut a peach, a yellow, one of the minty greens, and a blue, and I am just going to line them up on this piece of aqua paper that I just cut to put at the bottom to fill out that grid. I'm going to pop those flowers up on these glue dots. That's just the name brand of them, glue dots. I think I got them at pharmacy, like CVS or Walgreens. I was in there one day and saw them. They're ginormous. They're really big. They have to be a 1/2 inch glue dot. So, and they're very, very sticky. So that's what I'm using behind these, and it kind of gives them a little bit of a lift. I do start with the outer flowers so that I can come inwards and space them evenly-ish. A lot of times if I just go in a row, one right after the other, they will not be spaced even. I'll usually have not enough space on the end or too much space on the end. So it's easier for me to start at one end and the other end and work my way toward the center. All right, so here are some photographs that also were taken from the same day, from the same trip with the horse and the carriage. And I am going to put those down here in a diagonal strip. This first one that I'm working on right there, something's wrong with my tape runner. It wasn't wanting to tape run. Anyways, that one has the sticky note over it because that's a Gemini, and you know, I told you in a previous video that he's not having any of that. I have not won that battle yet, but I'm still working on it. This one in the center is just the horse, and the one up at the top is the horse as well in front of that plaza. I'm going to pop this little camera up on some foam tape. It's really cute. This is also off of a cut apart sheet, and I did ink the edges of it. This is off of that coral paper from the Pink Fresh, and I cut out the words escape the ordinary, and I'm going to trim it down to the same width as what my grid already has going on. And I am just going to put that down right there at the top. This is that same watering can ink from Ranger. Just tying all the bits in. Sorry about my head. It will make an appearance a couple times. Sorry about that. I think this might be the first layout I did when we got back from vacation. I'm not sure. Here's a big chunk of journaling. So I'm going to put it on a piece of this coral paper right there. I wanted to make sure I had all the words covered up that were on that paper. And then I cut it to the same width as that grid as well and stick it down right there. And I'm just talking about what I already talked about with the horse. Okay, so I have these little flowers, and they are from a recollection pack, and I scatter these around the page because they're the perfect color of coral. I am going to end up pulling these off the page and replace them with something else because I did not love them. I pulled them out because they're the right color, but also they were flowers, and I had flowers going on this page, but they're more graphic flowers, so they're not more sweet flowers. I also pulled out some of these word strips that are from Freckled Fawn. The one that's down there by that photo that's covered says just between us, and the one at the top says travel the world, the one that's on that camera bit, and that was absolutely perfect. Here's where I'm going to replace those flowers, which I already took them off when I was talking about something else, and I replaced them with the little arrows that came, they're puffy arrows that came with the Pink Fresh collection stickers. You can see the sticker pack laying over to the left. I do just pull off several of those arrows and put them down. I point at that just between us arrow, or just between us chipboard piece with an arrow. Here's where I move that travel the world, or I adhere it down actually to that camera piece. And you can see down at the bottom I put those two arrows. One's aqua and one's kind of a darker color. I am going to pull that darker color off because I don't have anything that dark on the page. I'm going to replace it with this one right here. The arrows that I started putting up on that grid toward the photo, there's a aqua one. I'm going to put a couple more there. Those are going to end up going away. Right there I'm putting an arrow by the camera. It is black, and I am also going to put a little gray one above it. I pull out this little gray one, and I'm going to stick it right there to make a little trio. And then that's where I changed my mind. I'm going to move that little gray one up to the top by the camera and remove those other two. I don't know why. It didn't let that square is fine by itself. That just didn't look right with those on there. I think maybe it's because that flower cut apart's already covering part of that portion. I don't know. It just didn't look right. So I do put these two arrows pointing down to travel the world. All right, because I didn't do this in advance, I'm going to very carefully ink the edges of my white cardstock. I think I managed to do it without getting too much on the gray. I see one spot where I kind of rubbed it against there. But because I pulled it up off of that gray a little bit to ink it, I have to put it back down with some liquid adhesive, and also I used my tape runner in some spots that were big enough. Here I'm showing the Heidi Swap Color Shine and Gold, and I am going to give that a splatter around the page. I do use a paintbrush this time. I'm kind of learning my lesson after messing up, I don't even know. Have you been counting 50 layouts maybe? I do learn my lesson finally and pull out a paintbrush to do the splattering. Fun fact, this is my 300th video. What? I know, right? Okay guys, here's the sketch I used, and I'm going to show you the layout up close, and I will have some still shots coming up at the end. They are not fabulous, but they are there. I want to thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.